Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true.
One more arrested in murder of kidnapping of Paulwell infant daughter and her mother. Another person who is believed to have played a role in the murder and abduction of opposition lawmaker Philip Paulwell's infant daughter and her mother was on Wednesday taken into custody. Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitzbailey, who is in charge of the crime portfolio, made the disclosure Thursday afternoon during a press conference. Bailey said the suspect, who is male, remains in custody and is to go through an administrative process. The senior officer, although pressed for information, said further details will be shared at a later date. However, he pledged that all the perpetrators will be brought to the box. "We are going to ensure that every person who participated in that crime faces justice. We are committed to that as an organization. It is one of the most gruesome crimes that we have ever seen, and we are going to ensure whoever is responsible, it doesn't matter where they hide. The Bible talks about even if you spread your bed in hell or in the utmost part of the sea, we are going to find the person and bring them to justice," he warned. 10 months old Sahara Powell and her mother, 27-year-old Tishta Patterson, were abducted from their home on Gilmore Drive in St. Andrew on September 9. They were allegedly taken to East Kingston and shot and killed, and their bodies burnt. The alleged mastermind, a U.S. Navy petty officer, Leota Bradshaw, who is the mother of one of Paulwell's children, was among 4 persons arrested in connection with the shocking and gruesome crime. She and her cousin, Roland Balford, who is also implicated in the murder, remain in custody, and both are to return to court on March 6 next year. Bradshaw was charged with 2 counts, each of capital murder, conspiracy to murder, kidnapping, and kidnapping conspiracy. Balford was charged with 2 counts each of accessory before the fact to kidnapping and accessory before the fact to murder. The other 2 persons who were arrested have since pleaded guilty and were sentenced. Rashawn Miller was sentenced to 7 years and 10 months imprisonment for 2 counts of conspiracy to kidnap, 2 counts of accessory before the fact of murder, and 2 counts of misprision of felony. Meanwhile, Richard Brown pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder and was sentenced to 30 years. Several alleged Clansman gang members arrested during major operation in St. Catherine. Several alleged members of Clansman gang were arrested during a major anti-gang operation in Old Harbour, St. Catherine. Head of Crime Portfolio Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitzbailey gave an update on the operation during an emergency press briefing yesterday afternoon. He explained that in addition to the arrests, 3 firearms, a quantity of ammunition, a motor car, and cash were seized. 1 man was also fatally shot during an alleged confrontation with the police. DCP Bailey stated that the operation culminated 9 months of investigations into the gang by the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Branch CTOC. During this 9-month period, 31 alleged members of the gang were taken into custody. Meanwhile, DCP Bailey has sought to clarify that the 31 members do not include any of those released in the recently concluded Clansman case.
A joint task force conducted a major anti-gang operation at several locations within the parish of St. Catherine, during which members of the vicious Clans gang were taken into custody. During this operation, Human McFarlane OC Max, aged 29 years old, laborer of Leslie Plain, St. Catherine, challenged the security forces and was fatally shot, and 3 firearms recovered along with a quantity of ammunition. In addition, a motor vehicle, cash, luxury items, and name brand clothing estimated to value about $3 million were also seized at a location in Old Harbour, St. Catherine. These persons arrested are being held for several offenses, which include murders and shootings. This particular investigation focused on the section of the gang under the direction of the incarcerated leader, Tesha Miller, OC Hombre of De La Vega City, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. This operation was supported by other internal and external stakeholders to include the Major Investigation Division, St. Catherine North and South Divisions, the Proactive Investigative Unit, the St. Catherine Scenes of Crime Unit, the National Intelligence Bureau, Specialized Operation Branch, Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, and of course, our law enforcement partners, the Jamaica Defense Force. Throughout the investigative process, the team worked in collaboration with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. No, they are unrelated. That is a different They don't cross paths. Let me put it that way. They don't cross paths. They are basically enemies.
5 arrested after discovery of Ganja, fake alcohol plant in St. Thomas. 4 men and a woman were arrested on reasonable suspicion for breaches of the Dangerous Drugs Act and breaches of the Trademark Act following an operation by the police in St. Thomas. Between 10 a.m. Wednesday and 1:30 Thursday morning, the team carried out a targeted raid at premises located along the Ken Jones Highway near the Portland-St. Thomas border. During a search of the property, more than 50 feed bags containing vegetable matter resembling ganja were seized. The content weighed in excess of 1,000 pounds. A processing plant used to produce fake rum and wine was observed at the same premises. The Narcotics Division was summoned, and the scene was processed by the detectives for the scene of crime unit. The 5 people at the premises were detained. They are to be questioned by detectives from the Narcotics Division and Moreton Bay Criminal Investigations Branch. Man charged for fatal stabbing in Cristiano. The police have charged 25-year-old O'Shane Clark, otherwise called Boom Boom, of Savile Cristiano, Manchester, with murder following the stabbing death of 24-year-old Stephen McLaughlin, otherwise called Rice Bag, on Saturday. The incident took place about 1 a.m. in Cristiano. Clark has been charged with wounding with intent for injuring another man during the incident. The police say an argument developed between 3 men and an altercation occurred. McLaughlin and the other man was reportedly stabbed several times all over their bodies by Clark. Both men were taken to hospital, where McLaughlin was pronounced dead and the other man treated and later released. Clark was arrested during a police operation and later charged. Senior government officer granted court order to remain on the job. The Supreme Court granted an order barring the Public Service Commission (PSC) from separating senior government employee Sandra Graham from her job at the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport on the grounds of redundancy or reorganization. Justice Yvonne Brown, after hearing an application in chambers from attorney at law Hugh Wellman, granted a 28-day injunction which will remain in force until the parties return to court on January 25th. Graham, who is the principal director of the corporate services in the ministry, is seeking an order that the decision to separate her from the public service is procedurally improper, as the decision is in breach of Section 125 of the Constitution of Jamaica. She was informed that she was to leave office by January 1 next year. The applicants contend that the decision was based on false allegations made against her by purportedly anonymous persons. She referred to anonymous letters accusing her of hating Portfolio Minister Darrell Valls and trying to bring down the permanent secretary. Graham said she had written to the Integrity Commission concerning her job and has reported threats she received to the police. Carol Palmer, permanent secretary in the ministry, who is Graham's immediate supervisor, is also named as a respondent. Attorney at law Kamala Ruddock from the Attorney's General Chamber represented the respondents. Graham is seeking leave to go to the Judicial Review Court for an order that the decision of the respondents to separate her from her job on the grounds of redundancy or reorganization. She has stated that the decision to remove her from the public service is based on vendetta and bad faith based on contrived allegations. On November 10, Graham said she received a letter stating that consideration was made given by the PSC for her to be separated from the public service on the grounds of redundancy or reorganization on January 1, 2024. She was instructed to show just cause why she should not be separated from the public service, and that should be done in 5 days. She said she immediately sought legal advice and through her lawyer Hugh Wellman wrote to the PSC. A meeting was held on December 1 with representatives of the Office of the Services Commission, and she was then informed that the PSC intends to carry out its threat of having her separated from the public service by the end of the year. Graham states that she has acted promptly and her only alternative remedy is that of judicial review. She pointed out in her application that on November 27, through her lawyer, she wrote a letter asking to be allowed to perform in another position of comparable standard, but to date there has been no response. The applicant states that she has 22 years of sterling service in the public service and has served as press secretary to 2 former prime ministers. Graham is contending that she has been deprived of a fair hearing by the respondents, in particular the PSC, in proposing to remove her from the office without giving her full opportunity to make whole-wide suggestions to remain in the job.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share,